Hey, happy Monday, everybody. Paul Obrantz with This Week in Rates. We got some stuff to cover here. We're going to talk about interest rates. We're going to talk about what goes into interest rate that you really need to know because it's going to save you a lot of money if you're looking on buying a house or if you're refinancing. We're going to talk about the Fed's meeting this week. What else are we going to talk about, Paul? I don't know. How about interest rate forecast? So let's go ahead and let's start with the meeting with the Feds. It's coming up this week, tomorrow and Wednesday. And here's the deal, with the job, we've talked about this. You and I have talked about this, right? So inflation, what the Feds are really looking for is the job market and inflation numbers, which we're going to talk about inflation as well. So the reports that are coming in, especially as it relates to the job market, ADP came in and the job market is definitely struggling, increasing in layoffs, slowing down in hiring. These are all pointing to the Feds being on track with lowering the short-term interest rates or the Fed's fund rate by 25 basis points. Now, keep in mind, when that happens or if that happens, 30-year fixed rates do not go down. The 30-year fixed rate is traded on the open market as a bond. And here's the deal. It's already built into the price that the Feds are going to reduce the rates by 25 basis points. So it will have no impact. That alone will have no impact on 30-year fixed rates. So what will? Well, if they don't lower the interest rates or if they do more than 50 basis points, because you have to think about it, the bond traders, they're really focused on inflation, and mostly inflation, not even unemployment. And unemployment really triggers the inflation. So if they do less than 25 basis points, that's going to put pressure on interest rates to go up because that's going to tell the traders that the Fed is very concerned about inflation. Whereas if they do more, that can be really helpful for long-term interest rates. So what do you say we take a look at today's rates? Hey, that's a great idea, Paul. All right, let's go ahead and bring it up here. Well, that's not the interest rates. Wow, we got awkward here, huh? Okay, there's the interest rates. Now, notice today I did something a little different. I'm sharing you interest rates with 1 point in cost. Now, why am I doing this? Right now, what we're seeing in this market is sellers really, wanting to negotiate to help you get a better deal to sell their house. I've done a video on this before, and if this is something that you'd be interested in, just reach out. I'd be happy to send it to you. But if you're going to go in and ask for like a $10,000 price reduction, that same $10,000, instead of using it as a price reduction, was used to buy your interest rate down, is going to save you a tremendous amount of money, short-term and long-term. So this is something that these rates are amazing. Now, wait till we get to the forecast of interest rates. Then we're going to come back and tie these in. Because if you're looking to buy a house or even refinancing, I'm going to tell you right now, maybe the time to pull that trigger. Speaking of interest rates, what is this? This is probably the ugliest chart I've ever made. And I'm okay with that. But there's a lot of great information in there. So here's the thing. The numbers, the column on your left is FICO score. And the column on your right is an interest rate. Now, I had to dig this up from a few months back, but a lot of questions I get is like, how come I don't get that interest rate advertised online? Well, there's a couple things. Number one, FICO score is going to drive your ultimate interest rate. And number two, especially online, if you look at the fine print, there's usually 2 points, which is totally atrocious. That is cost. But think about this. If you're thinking of buying a house today, you're not quite ready, but your FICO score is at 730, and let's say you wanted to buy a house in 1 year, don't you think right now would be the time to really work on your credit? We're talking about a 0.5% difference in interest rate that you're going to be charged if you take this time to work on your credit. We have this program. It's called Coaching to Success. Even if you're not ready to buy yet, that's totally okay. I want you to use our team's experience. Danielle and I have been doing this, I'm not going to say cumulatively for 40 years because that's just straight up overwhelming, but together 20 years, and use our experience to help position your family get into the best interest rate possible by our Coaching to Success. It makes a huge difference. Take a look at those numbers, 0.5% difference. And by the way, it could be as simple as something as paying a credit card down by $5,000 will save you a 0.5% in interest rate. It's absolutely bonkers. Last week, consumer price index, I told you we were going to talk about inflation, came in a little higher than expected, which really stopped that downward trajectory. And so now we're kind of in this channel of flatness, I would say. That's a weird way of saying it. But we're really paying attention to what the Feds are going to do this week. So there's a lot of mixed data. We have inflation kind of creeping up. We have the unemployment going down. So a lot of things are happening in this market. We just need to wait and see to see what happens. But the long-term trajectory, well, let's see what the long-term trajectory is. That's where I'm at now. The long-term trajectory, if you Google Fannie, so here's the biggest challenge people have is when they Google interest rates, usually what comes up is the Feds, and the Feds are going to continue to decrease their short-term interest rates. And so naturally people think that's what's going to happen with 30-year fixed rates. However, if you Google like a Fannie Mae or a Freddie Mac 2026 interest rate predictions, what you're going to find is that it's not going to go, no one's predicting rates to go lower than 6%, maybe high fives. So hold that thought for a second. 6% or maybe high fives. So what that tells me is that right now we are at where they're projecting interest rates to go. And so we want to make sure that we're jumping on these opportunities before more buyers get into the market. All right, this week is a big week. We talked about the Feds. The Feds are meeting this week, and we have where's my? I can't. If I can't read this, how can you read this? We have the Fed's meeting this week, and more importantly, we have the Fed commentary coming out on Friday, which is definitely going to be a market mover. Remember, even if they move at 25 basis points, then the bond market or the 30-year fixed rate market is going to pay close attention to what they have to say about inflation and unemployment. All right, I hope this helps you guys on your quest to saving the most money, whether it's refinance or buying a house. Hey, if we're not working together, we should. I think it's this way or it's this way. So I'm just going to do this. This is a QR code to my hopes and dreams conversation. What a hopes and dreams conversation is we don't pull credit. We don't take applications. There's no obligations. It's just me, you, and your family sitting for about 20 to 30 minutes or however much time we need or don't need, putting a plan in place for you to save money and help you get into your next house. All right. Or your first house. All right, everybody, with that is it. I hope you have a fabulous weekend. Do something great. Create something. Have a wonderful weekend. If you need me, I would love to connect. Paul Brantz, Clear to Close.